today we are talking everything about meal planning. All right, so I have a lot of people that ask me all the time, like, how do I do dinners every day? How do I get a nice meal on the table for my kids every night, my husband, and especially with his work schedule, how do I manage it all? And the key is meal planning, right? So typically, I used to, for years, meal plan every week. I would sit down either Thursday or Friday, plan the meals out for the week, go grocery shopping, and then do my meal prep. And meal prepping is something totally different than your meal planning. All right, so today we're just going to discuss the meal planning part of it. And just recently, just back in January, 3 months ago, I sat down and I meal planned for 3 months. And I planned out what we were gonna do for the 3-month period. And it was a game changer for me. All right, so now obviously in the 3 months time, there's weeks where I ended up not doing it as much as I thought I was going to, or changing the dinners. And that's kind of the nice part and the forgiving part about meal planning is it can change a day or a week at a time, but when it's all said and done, you pretty much have a good idea of what you're gonna do. All right, so what I found by doing it for 3 months in advance is you could also do it like 2 months in advance if 3 months seems overwhelming. But for me, I kind of did it based on our season of life. So January, February, March, we kind of had the same kind of extracurricular activities going on. So I could plan around that. Starting in April is our baseball season. So for me, I wanted to wait till April until I got the schedules in order to plan those out. And that's gonna last April, May, and June. So I'm gonna plan for the next 3 months based off of our baseball schedules. All right, so for me, in order to do this, what you need to do is get your, what you need to do, or what I find that I do is get what your schedule is. Find your schedule and Andrew, go, stinker. What I find, first of all, so get your schedule. Get your schedule out, get as much as you can on that calendar, so that way you have it. I like to get just a small little paper calendar to actually write what meals I am going to do every day. You could get just a, regular paper calendar. You can just make a list based off of what you want to do. That's totally up to you. I like to put in a calendar with some of the activities that we have going on. I also grab my phone calendar because it's got the shared calendar between me and my husband. So there might be some things on there that I don't have in my calendar, but this one has the majority of things between both of us. So I tend to look at both calendars as I go through it and then just write it down in my main calendar or my paper calendar. All right, so once you kind of get your schedule, your calendar's out, find your recipe books that you like. I tend to really like Cook's Illustrated books. They have, this one is slow and easy recipes. I tend to do those on days where it's like, all right, I need something going on the stove or in the oven. Typically I like those on the weekends too, so that I can do it in the morning and then we can just be busy with what we're doing throughout the day and come back and have a meal. I don't tend to do a lot of crock pot meals, I will be honest, but doesn't mean that's not something that you can incorporate into your life. Baseball season, now that's a different story. We will probably do more crock pot meals. We just don't tend to enjoy them as much as some people. But I have a slow and easy recipe. I have skillet recipe book. I have a 30-minute recipe book. And the nice thing about the Cook's Illustrated is they're like from America's Test Kitchen. So typically I haven't found a recipe that the kids haven't liked and I don't like. Not only do you want to get your recipe book, I also have a ton of recipes off of Pinterest that I pull off of. So make sure that you have your Pinterest account ready. And then my husband and I started a list probably about a year or two ago now of the kids meals that our kids enjoy. So it's like 31 meals kids like the most, and the list is longer than 31 at this point in time. But anytime we find where the kids are like cleaning their plates, or they're actually saying, this is a great meal, we put it on that list immediately so that we know that it's something that they've enjoyed. And if we cook it again, most likely they'll eat it. Now, I say most likely because kids, and sometimes you make something and they love it, and then the next time you make it, they're not eating it and they think it's the most disgusting thing. But we find, at least if we make it a couple times, then more times than not, they will enjoy it. What you do next is you just start planning. All right, so another tip or trick that I use is when I'm going through the calendar, I like to do a theme for each night of the week. All right, so it helps me with the meal planning part of it and not getting stuck planning the same thing over and over again. I guess that's also a joy of doing it every 3 months as opposed to every week. I was repeating meals weekly, or in 2 or 3 weeks I was doing the same thing because I just would get, I don't know what we had, what we didn't have. So we found ourselves eating a lot of the same things. The themed nights are really nice. So I could do Mexican night, Asian night. You could do an American meals, or you could do a skillet meal. You could do a quick 30-minute meal, sheet pan meals, breakfast for dinner, anything with ground beef, a crock pot meal, Italian. There's so many different themes that you can choose from, and you don't have to do, when you're planning out the 3 months, you don't have to do the same thing for the next 3 months. You can each month pick a different theme for that night of the week. All right, so I tend to find that a lot of like the Asian meals and Mexican meals can be pretty quick. So when I need quick meals, I tend to find that those nights are those nights that maybe we have baseball on Mondays and Thursdays. I find myself doing like Asian and Mexican meals because they typically just throw together. Or I can prep a lot of the work for those ahead of time, and then it takes 20 minutes to 30 minutes to put it on the table, and it's quick and easy for the family. When you're planning out not just your theme nights, making sure that those theme nights do correlate and correspond with what you do during the week. So now when it comes to traveling and going on vacations, I also like to plan a lot ahead with those. So as I start my meal prepping videos, you will also see what I do when we go on vacation. I tend to, obviously we don't have to cook while we're in unless we're camping. I will add my meal planning meals with the camping, and I will prep everything before we leave to make it easier, because I want on vacation a little bit too. I don't want to be stuck in the camper cooking or outside cooking the whole time and prepping things. I will have all that prepped. So anyways, planning that ahead of time works as well. We are going to go on spring break in a couple weeks, so when I do our meal prepping, I will kind of go through the week we get back is the pivotal week of what you want to plan, all right, and what you want to prep. So when we get back, I'm not going to have time to go to the grocery store when we get back, because we're going to get back late. The next day is Easter, and we're going to go to my sister-in-law's for Easter. So when when Monday rolls around, I need meals that I already have the ingredients for, that I can either pull out of the freezer, we can thaw some meat real quickly and throw something together. So when you are planning and you notice, or when you do have a vacation planned, that following week, note whether or not you are going to be around to do your shopping, or if you need meals that are going to be readily available. All right, so that's just another little tip or trick. In addition to that, when you are entertaining, it's the same thing. We entertain a lot. So if we, especially around Thanksgiving and Christmas, we tend to host multiple events, or Friendsgivings and family over, and I tend to do because it's different groups, I tend to do a lot of the same appetizers where I can do a big bulk thing and kind of prep and prepare a lot of things at once. So when the holidays come around, we will go over how I prep for that as well, because it makes things so much easier and less stressful if you have people over. Last thing is, while you're meal planning, take 1 or 2 meals a month that you know you can easily double and freeze half of it. All right, so the reason for that is, one, if you're going on vacation and you get back and you don't have time to go grocery shopping, you can pull the meal out of the freezer and have dinner on the table. It also helps for those nights where you fall behind on your meal prep. The whole week's dinner is just not what you expected it to be, and you're scrounging around for food or trying to find something. You can pull some of those meals out of the freezer and just make them. It makes it a lot easier, and if you're doing 1 to 2 a month, then it really builds up, especially if you don't need it for a while. And then a week where you're like, I need all freezer meals, then you have 4 or 5 to pull out. And I say 4 or 5 because I always build in leftover days on my calendar. One, I typically do them when my husband works, because trying to cook dinner with 4 kids, running around starving, wanting to snack is very challenging. So I tend to get home and say, let's pull out the leftovers from the last couple meals that we've had, and that's what we eat. Or if I know that there's times where his Monday, Wednesday, Friday shifts, I can't have leftovers Monday, Wednesday, Friday, so I typically make something super easy and simple on one of those days, usually like a breakfast for dinner type thing, because it's fairly quick and easy and forgiving if I can't get to it or tend to it right away. So that's just another food for thought as you're going through your meal planning. All right, so I think that I have touched on all of the bases. Just to recap: 1, get your calendar out, plan your meals around your schedules. It makes things a lot easier. 2, plan your theme nights, and plan those theme nights around how quick you need to get dinner on the table. 3, start making a list of what your family enjoys to eat. That way, that list is, I pull from that list at least once or twice a week as we're going through. I have over 30 meals in there, so over a 3-month period, I'm going through most of that list. 4, make sure you're checking ahead of time. So if if you're going on vacation, your meals when you get back are going to be something quick and easy. And that brings me back to the last one, is making sure that you plan nights where you can double the recipe super easy and stick it in the freezer so that you have them. So next week, we are going to start the meal prepping week. So like I said earlier, meal planning is different than meal prepping. You can meal plan, and then during the week, just pull out everything and make it from start to finish each day. I meal prep after I meal plan. So every Saturday or Sunday, I am chopping all the vegetables, the meat, making sure that I have the meat out from the freezer, because we buy everything in bulk, and having everything ready so that when I do have to make the meal, it's a quick meal every night, even if it's like meatloaf or something that goes in the oven. All right, so subscribe, like the channel, follow it. That way, when we start posting the meal prepping, you can follow along and get all the tips and tricks, because there's plenty of them, and you can't just do them all in one day. So as I go along every week, you will learn new things on how to prep your meals.